In this video, I'll be showing how to remove the entire track system, front axle, and the undercarriage from a Case IH Quadtrac. The reason for this repair is a leaking wheel seal on the front axle. So to show you the wheel seal leak, this one's leaking pretty bad. This is the other side. This one is not leaking, but since we're pulling both apart, we're going to be changing both at the same time. In order to remove the front axle, you need to remove the track system, all the wheels, everything needs to come off. I'm going to remove the tow cable. I'm going to get this out of the way. We're going to remove the drain plug. This can hold up to 18 gallons of oil. We're going to drain the whole system. After you get the center drained, there's drain plugs on the left and right side. We're going to drain these as well. When you undo this plug, it will shoot oil into your track system if you don't have a container there. So the way to catch it is you're going to have this jug like this, open it, it's going to hit here and drain straight down. After you get all the oil drained, we're going to be removing this tube. Remove the track tensioning supply hose from the T-fitting. Then remove the bulkhead nut to remove this from the bracket. After we get this off, we're going to unbolt the hose from the axle. We're going to remove the harness from the differential lock and also the bolts holding the cable to the differential. On top of the differential, we're going to remove this line here, as well as this line here. Up above here, we're going to remove the axle lube supply hose. We're going to unbolt this return tube. We are also going to remove the drive shaft. To jack up the machine, there's two lifting points on the left and right side of the front bumper. Once we get the track off the ground, we can release the track tension. Before we release the track tension, we're going to remove the track tension bolt. We're going to take that out. To relieve the track tension, there's a plug here. We're going to do this plug. Grab the track tension release tool. We're going to snap it onto place. We're going to turn it clockwise to release the track pressure. We're going to come to the front here. I'm going to put a jack. I'm going to try to take this wheel and we're going to spin it, which in turn is going to push this tensioner all the way in. That'll loosen the track to its complete max. So when compressing the tensioner, sometimes it's completely full of dirt and it won't allow you to compress the spring fully. On the inside, I have a come along that's attached to the front and rear wheel, and that will keep the tension. So now you want to raise the tractor so there's about an inch gap between the bogie wheel and the track. We're going to mark and remove the front and the rear bogie wheel. Make sure to mark them, which is which. Once you get the two idler wheels off, we're going to raise the tractor up until the lugs can clear the bottom of the small idler wheels. We're going to take a chain. We're going to pull the bottom out first. Once these lugs are past this point here on both sides, we'll put a chain or a forklift fork here, and we're going to lift up and pull the track out. And now at this point, we're just going to slide it out and then lift up with the forklift, and we're going to pull it out of there. We're going to go on the back side, release our come along. We're going to drop this down to the ground. There's a pin here and a pin on the other side. You're going to have to raise and lower the jack to find the sweet point. It should not take a whole lot of force to get the pin out. You're going to remove the outside pin first and then the inside pin. Once you get that pin out and the inside pin out, we're going to lift the tractor up and then we're going to roll the whole assembly out from underneath the tractor. We are now able to remove the whole entire axle to drop the axle out. In order to remove the axle, we're going to have to remove these three bolts on each side, so there's a total of 6 on each side. You're going to remove this plate, pull the drive wheel off. Right now we have a tractor supporting this side of the axle, and we have a forklift on this side. So you're going to remove this bolt here and this bolt, same on the other side. You're going to unbolt that bolt that's holding the wedge in, and the wedge should fall out. Once you get your wedges out, there's these 4 bolts on all sides. When you unscrew these, it's going to drop the axle down, make sure you have the weight supported. Once you get to this point, and you have it lowered almost to the ground, we're going to take 2 jacks, put a jack on this side, put a jack on that side with the rollers, and we're going to push it out that direction, and then we'll have it out from underneath the tractor. So now you just roll it out like this, and now you can start working on the wheel seal. I sent this axle to another shop that does this job all the time, so they ended up doing the wheel seal for me. Unfortunately, I will not have a video on that. And the cause for the leak is the axle nut loosens up, causing the wheel seal to fail. We're gonna roll the axle back underneath the tractor. So we used a forklift on this side. We rolled it underneath, raised everything up. You're gonna tighten the 4 top bolts down, and you're gonna wanna leave a little gap. We're gonna tighten the front bolts all the way tight. Install the side bolts. We're gonna tighten the front side bolts next. The torque for those bolts calls for 550 foot-pounds. You're gonna need at least a 600 foot-pound torque wrench. On the rear, we're gonna install our wedge. When you install the wedge, you want this angle facing this direction. We're gonna torque this top nut to 550. Drive this wedge up. Once you have the wedged all the way up, you're gonna tighten down the bolt. And then we're gonna torque these to 550 as well. With the axle torqued to the tractor, we're gonna raise the tractor up, go underneath, we're gonna hook up all the hydraulic lines. Make sure to replace the lines that have O-rings with new O-rings. Reconnect the solenoids. Up above on the differential, we're gonna go ahead and install these 3 lines. Install the differential lock supply line here. Before I reinstall all the hoses that go here, I'm gonna put it in the drive shaft since I have extra room. We're gonna torque the drive shaft to 90 foot-pounds. After getting the drive shaft in, I'm gonna reinstall this return tube, set it into there, and then mount the U-bolts back into place to hold it there. After you get your brackets installed, go ahead and reconnect the hose. I'm going to save the axle supply hose for last, as well as the return tube. We're going to install the undercarriage of the track system. I'm using the forklift to slide it into place. If you don't have a forklift, you can roll it in from the front and then lower the tractor down. Once you get the undercarriage into position, we're going to go ahead and install our drive sprocket. We're going to torque the bolts to 520 foot-pounds. After you get the wheel torqued, we'll put our cross plate on. With this plate on, we're now going to go on the other side and we're going to drive the inner pin in. Do not forget there are shims on the inner side. This outer side does not use shims. Once you get the tractor and the undercarriage lined up, put your shims in. Now that the inner pin is in, we can go on the outside and do the outer pin. You want to leave this plate loose so you can help you line up the pin. With both your pins in place, we're going to raise the tractor up and install the track. When installing the track, you want to put the top lugs on top of the sprocket first, and then you're going to swing the bottom of the track underneath. When you get to this point of putting the track on, we have the top lugs almost into place. What I did is I hit a forklift and I pushed and lifted. So then the track is on top of this bogie wheel. On the other side, I'm going to hit the track, push and lift up, and that's going to pop it on over top of this wheel here. You can use pry bars, but using heavy equipment is the easiest way to do this. With the tracks in place, we can now install the 2 bogie wheels. Okay, when you get close, take a long bar, put it all the way through. Then you use the bar to lift it up. Now that we have both idler wheels on, we're going to lower the tractor onto the ground. We're then going to torque the idler wheels to 520 foot-pounds. With the track system completely back together, we're going to go back underneath and install our track supply lines, as well as the axle return tube. We're going to rebolt the bulkhead nut, reattach this line, run the line over to both sides, reconnect it to all the brackets. With this line in, we're going to reconnect our return tube. Once you've verified you have all the hydraulic lines back together and everything is torqued and tightened, you can now go ahead and fill the hydraulic tank past full. You're going to start the engine The tank is going to drop because it is filling the axle full of oil. You want to keep adding oil until it stabilizes and doesn't drop anymore. Operate the park brake and differential lock switches on and off several times with the engine running to remove air from the system. To bleed any air out of the hydraulic tensioner, start the tractor up, move any remote control lever forward, hold for 5 to 10 seconds to maximize system pressure. We're going to open up the bleed screw to release any air that's trapped in the system. Once all air is out of the system, we can now align the tracks. The track alignment procedure will be in a separate video, so please stay tuned for that. As a disclaimer, everything in this video is extremely heavy. If you do not have the tools or equipment to do this job safely, I would highly recommend you taking it to the dealer. As an example, just the axle that we took out alone is 5,000 pounds. So whenever doing this, please use extreme caution. But with that, I thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.